people here have saved their own life using their intuition? Thank you. Now, how many people here think that they have no intuition or that intuition is a sham? Thank you. Now, whether you want to believe it or not, your intuition and listening to that has probably saved your life on more occasions than you know. So welcome to Trust Your Intuition and Face Your Fears. I'm Simmone Park. I'm very grateful for everyone being here today. And maybe it's because, you just saw the other stage and you thought, neurophysiology, I'm going to go to that other stage. But regardless, I'm very grateful for your presence here today. So what is intuition? It describes the ability to acquire knowledge without inference or the use of reason. The root of the word comes from to contemplate. So it means that your unconscious mind is actually sifting through your life experiences or your toolkit and all of the knowledge that you have to be able to navigate through certain situations. Now, I want to be real with you guys today. Now, this is a story all about how my life didn't get flipped, turned upside down. It was more of an awakening. And it was somewhere around the time that I was turning 30. I know, don't let the Asian fool you. But I just freaked out and I realized I wasn't living my life. So I quit my job, dumped my boyfriend, moved out, and I wanted answers to questions. So I started digging. I was reading old journals and looking at old photographs, and I was driving past old landmarks, and all of that stuff that I pushed deep down inside with the hopes that it would never resurface again, it started coming up, and I said, bring it on. And so it started coming in the form of visions and flashbacks. Flashback. I'm 7 years old, and I'm playing at my friend's house. She's Korean, too. And they lived in the same apartment complex, but in a different building. Now I'm in their house, and now I'm in the bedroom, and there's a big bed, and there's dark red sheets, and she has an older brother. He's a teenager, and his name is Jimmy. And all of a sudden, I'm on the bed, and he's on top of me, and he's heavy, and it doesn't feel right. And I scream, and with my little legs, I kick him, and I feel like he flies 5 feet in the air off of me. Now, I later get in trouble for prank calling 911. So the police did not help me that day. Now, why is this important? Well, my father is a 5th Dan black belt in Taekwondo, and his thing was he was always helping women who had been raped or assaulted by beating the living daylights out of their attackers. So I wanted my dad to teach me martial arts, and he told me and my 2 older sisters, no, if you're in trouble, the police will help you. What? So I'm actually grateful for my father because he taught me a very important lesson. And that was that my safety is the responsibility of no one but myself, just as your safety is yours. It's not the responsibility of our parents or our partner or the government or police or the landlord or the security guards. Once you start taking ownership of the fact that your safety is nobody's responsibility but your own, that is the first step in being able to protect yourself. So I realized my dad wasn't going to teach me martial arts. So I wanted him to be proud of me. So what did I do? I actually went and I learned almost every type of martial arts. I played rugby, I boxed, I breakdanced. I had the biggest set of cojones you had ever seen. I had confidence and swagger, and no one wanted to mess with me. So fast forward, my job starts bringing me all over the world to sometimes some of the most dangerous cities like Kingston, Jamaica, or Beirut, Lebanon. And I would find myself working very long hours, but I'd still want to work out. So I would actually walk to and from the gym or go jogging at night. And that didn't faze me because how I would hold myself is in a way that screamed, do not fuck with me. In fact, people would actually cross the street to get away from me. So what did I learn? Because I later found out I was going to be moving to another country, and the girl who came to replace me, she asked, is this place safe? Morocco, Casablanca. And I said, well, I walk to and from the gym at night, and nothing's ever happened to me. I later found out that a few days later, she was held up at knife point in broad daylight. So I realized that your demeanor and how you present yourself can also help you ensure your safety. So do not jog late at night with your earphones in. That is screaming, she's not paying attention. She's robbing herself of one of her greatest senses, her sense of hearing. If you think about people who attack other people, it's really a quest for power. They're looking to prey on people they feel are less weaker than them so they can steal their power. Now, let's say you're walking down a dark road, and you think that someone might be behind you, and we do one of these. No. Turn around and face them, because you might need to remember what their face looks like, but secondly, you're screaming, "I am not your next victim. Move along." So I've told you a few things that you might be able to do to help protect yourself, but now I want to shift gears a little bit and segue into how, by facing my fears, I was absolutely able to live the best year of my life. So I decided to pull a Dave Chappelle, and I went to Africa. Now, the Africa that they show you on TV is not the Africa that I saw. The Africa that I saw was actually vast and beautiful and plentiful. And I made my motto, "What's the better story?" So in Africa, I did a ton of crazy things. I built homes, and I did Maasai warrior training, and I planted trees, and I saw the path that they had to take to get dirty water. And the better story, which I don't actually have a picture for, was that I confronted my fears of singing in public, and I actually sang with 4 other girls, a cappella and a ukulele, in front of about 1,000 people at this graduation. Then, before I went to Africa, I remember having these visions, and it was me doing a one-armed handstand at the peak of Mount Kilimanjaro. Now, I've never wanted to climb a mountain like that. I was actually kind of scared of doing something like that. But what's the better story? The better story is that I went to Africa and made that mountain my bitch. So I did that one-armed handstand, and after the 6 days that it took me to climb that mountain, and I collected my certificate, and I'm leaving the national park, I pointed up at that mountain, and in Swahili I said, "Kumumayu ni me malisa," which means, "Motherfucker, I finished." So I'm full of stories like this, of just saying anything that I'm scared of, going to Korea for the first time and facing my culture. That was the scariest thing for me, but I went and I did that. And I have stories of manifesting my way into the inner circle of the Wu-Tang Clan and going floating multiple times and being able to see visions and making those happen. It was absolutely incredible. And then California. Oh, California, how I love thee. And those things that I had pressed down deep inside with the hopes that they would never resurface? In California, it comes at you at exponential speed. So it was like, all your body issues are because of this, and you were trying to be a son to your dad your whole life, and you were trying to do this, and I'm like, oh my God, I love it. But why did I come to California? It was actually for the purpose of taking this serious training camp. And so I found myself in this training camp, and I'm sitting there and I'm meditating. And all of a sudden, I wake up and I'm on my back, and this big white man is on top of me with 2 hands around my neck, and he's saying, "You fucking little Chinese bitch." Now, strangely, my intuition was actually saying, this is not dangerous at all. Yeah, so I got my bearings, managed to fight my way out of the situation, and my speed and agility was such that the organization actually wanted me to come back and be one of their female trainers, which is ridiculous. But there are also times where sometimes we let circumstances or things that we're facing in life allow us not to listen to our intuition. So remember all those little hints that I gave in the first segment about how to protect yourself? So it's on my 3rd trip to California that I would actually not listen to any of that. And because of that, I actually found myself staring down the barrel of a gun. Yeah, so I'm from Canada, and where we're from, we don't have the same gun culture as you do in America. So needless to say, I was scared. And something inside of me just clicked, and I was like, not even me speaking. And so I started reasoning with this guy who was trying to rob me at gunpoint, and I started saying, "Please don't do this. Why are you doing this, sir?" And I can guarantee you this guy has probably never been called sir a day in his life. And so he was a little bit discombobulated, and he said, "Give me your fucking bag or you're dead." And I know that intuition exists because the words that would come out of my mouth next, I'm telling you, it was not consciously me at all. Fucking shoot me then. Thank God he did not shoot me that day, but he started punching me and hitting me with his gun until I got knocked back and hit my head on the ground. And at that moment, my inner voice was screaming, "Fight back or you're dead." And so with both my feet, I kicked him as hard as I could, and it felt like he flew 5 feet in the air, just like Jimmy did that day when I was 7 years old. And I leapt to my feet, and I started throwing punches. And it felt like this situation lasted for hours. And in the last seconds, with this middle finger, I ripped his chain off of his neck. So the better story was that somebody went to rob me at gunpoint, got away with nothing, and I actually wound up robbing him. So I realized that my life experiences or my toolkit prepared me for a certain situation like that. Does that mean that I feel like you guys should go and tell a guy who's robbing you at gunpoint to fucking shoot you? No, that is not the purpose of this talk. Because I don't know what your toolkit is. I don't know what your personal experiences are and how you're going to deal with a certain situation. But what I can say is that if you actually tap in and listen without judgment, without second guessing yourself, without asking for a secondary opinion from your friends, because let's be honest, isn't it like the blind leading the blind? You know, how many times have we asked for relationship advice from the single person with like the single-handed most terrible track record of dating ever? We're like, oh, okay, yeah, we're gonna do that. So after the incident, I was actually recommended that I read this book called The Gift of Fear by Gavin de Becker. And I'm not getting any royalties by promoting this book, but as I was reading this book, I actually realized the realities of the world that we face today. And it is a little bit scary. But being able to actually tap in and rationalize and stay calm and know the facts, know the difference between fear and danger, and work with that, that can actually save your life. So if you guys are interested, I have used some of the concepts in this book, in this talk. I would highly recommend that you go and read this book because it will actually teach you manipulation tactics that people use in order to get a leg up. And what I want to say is this. I've had many, many people, women and men alike, reveal to me that they have been raped, assaulted, molested. It actually happens to far more people than you would like to believe. The statistics are actually outstanding. But what I want to say to you is that what happened to you does not define you. What happened to you was not your fault. You know, things happen. I'm sorry, I don't want to get emotional right now, but I just feel like sometimes, especially women, and maybe I will say this, but we tend to find fault in what happened. And yes, I'll admit that I was not listening to my common sense. I was not holding myself in such a way that people would not want to hold me up. So to that guy who did this to me, I'm not mad at him. He taught me a great lesson. Because the second that you let yourself become vulnerable, someone might be out there ready to take advantage. So the better story for me is that instead of being scared or letting hate fill my heart, I came back to specifically the place where that happened. And when I see this guy, I want to show him nothing but love and compassion. Because I don't know his story. I don't know what propelled him to do that day. But I want to believe that people are inherently good at heart and that there's hope for humanity. Maybe it's the Canadian in me. But, truth be told, if I've ever had a greater experience that the police won't help you, after that incident, I actually found myself being patted down, having my keys taken away from me, and me experiencing what the back seat of a cop car looks like. Yeah, that was interesting. And as we're riding along, I actually apologized to them, and I said, I'm sorry that there's so many cops out, and all this kerfuffle over me. How fucking Canadian is that? Yeah, I can't make this shit up. So sometimes we'll be faced with a moment that changes your life. And I want to say this. Honor your inner voice. Listen to your judgment. And you know what? Go out there and do the thing that scares you. all of these things that I've went to all these countries and manifested and saw the visions and made them happen, did I make a complete ass out of myself probably every single time? Yeah. You know, what was the better story, going to South Korea and attending a street dance battle, or after a 10-year hiatus of not breakdancing, doing a quad pull and making my way so I was competing in it? You know, at the end of that, I actually found myself trying to like get down into a twerk, and my old ass was so tired that I couldn't even do that. Who cares? You know, the better story is that you went out there and tried to do something that you're passionate about. And let me tell you this, you'll never regret the things that you did. But if you don't do something and you let fear hold you back from doing that, you'll always be wondering, and you'll be manifesting all these things that like, oh, if I tried that, definitely my life would be different right now. Get rid of all of that. Just be real, be true, be who you are. And that's what California has done for me. So since coming back to California, I've managed to manifest incredible things. I've been written into PSAs and feature films. I get to work on projects that I'm passionate about, from sustainability issues to helping to find solutions to homelessness and all of these amazing things. I feel so blessed. I feel so blessed. So I love California. I came face to face with death, and I know that my story doesn't end on the side of a street because some hooligan wanted my bag. So I'm going to do whatever I need to do. I'm not going to let fear hold me back. I'm going to trust my intuition. And hopefully at that time, I'm going to be able to just make incredible things happen every single day. And I hope you guys will do the same. So I leave you with this quote by Mark Twain. I've had a great many troubles, but most of them never happened. Thank you.